Hello and welcome back to DJ Padaskal's channel. I'm sure you've seen the first video. If you haven't, you can find the link up here or in the description below. First video we talked about review of Pioneer DDJ 1000. What has improved? How has my skills improved along with the system? What I find nice, what I don't like. Actually, there isn't much that I don't like. This part we will talk about why did I choose a Pioneer and I ditched Roland and I ditched Denon. There were these options, especially Denon. So Roland was the first machine that I chose. I chose that machine as a beginner DJ. It was in my price range. It was about something round figure is about $300 US. The machine comes with a drum kit, which is 808, 909, 707, the legendary Roland drum kits. So in my mind, I thought that once I have those features like the drum machine, the sequencer, when I'm playing a track, I can actually remix the track on the fly. Now that was quite a big task, from my skill set and quite a big task from the hardware as well. Why hardware and why skill set? Let me jump into that part. So from a skill set, since I was a beginner DJ at that point in time, this is last year sometime, and that machine was having all these features as an entry-level machine. I was still not very much used to even mixing two tracks properly. So every time I try to beat match, I wouldn't be able to beat match. I was struggling with Serato. Serato has a layout where you can see there is a song grid playing and there is a song grid playing at the bottom. I will try to put it in the video as somewhere up or bottom how Serato works. One song up, one song below, and in between it has some lows and highs. It tries to match the frequency, so it actually matches perfectly. Now for me as a beginner DJ, that was slightly problematic and I wanted to get rid of that part in the center so that that central grid where the song actually sings, I can see the two matching just like that. In case of record box, that was the case. It only has one grid on top, one grid below, and it has those lines at every 4 beat. And when they match, they actually match like that. You can see one single line coming across. In Serato, you don't see that. That was a massive struggle for me. I totally respect Serato. It's an awesome system and all the great DJs use that. So nothing against Serato, just that as a beginner DJ, I found it slightly more complex than the record box. I found record box slightly easier. Record box has its own issues as well. They are trying to sort it out. When I started, they were still on version 5, the beginning versions of 5, and sometimes the whole thing will get choppy. So I'm playing and suddenly I can see the waves getting choppy. Those things do happen. Now it's much better. The latest version seems to be much better. I also upgraded the RAM in my laptop, assuming that was the RAM issue. It wasn't. But yeah, so I chose Pioneer and back to that Roland, what happened to that one? So from a hardware perspective or from a skill perspective, I was still very early DJ, but my aspiration and my dream was too high that I will start playing and then suddenly overnight I know how to mix and I'll start mixing it on the fly. I had all those thoughts running in my head that in 3-4 months I'll be master of doing BPM matching and then I will be just remixing on the fly. Now that is something that really didn't happen, and for most of you it won't happen. So I never used those drums. They just stayed there. And the second thing, which is the hardware part now. And Serato became a problem there for me to scale. The second thing, which is the hardware part. So it had some keypads and it had some samplers. Now you have to press a shift. Then you have to choose parameter. Then you have to get into the sampler or you have to get into the sequencer. Then match the beat. It will not automatically batch. So very hard to access it. I tried to look at some YouTube videos, but again, very hard to access that whole thing. So the real reason which I bought it for was those drum kits. I could never actually use it. So at some point in time, I said, okay, I'm done with it, and I sold it off. And I moved into Pioneer for the simplicity of the record box DJ. Now, so that was the jump from Roland into Pioneer, and I bought a DDJ 400, the entry level system somewhere this year, beginning of the year. And I started playing on that. Then the big question came when I thought I was ready for an upgrade, which is a couple of months back or a month back when I bought this machine. That time the big question came that this machine cost about 1,500 or 1,600 US in this part of the world where I am, but that's the global price. So no matter where you're buying, I checked the price in India, I checked the price in US, I checked the price in UK, then I checked the price in Malaysia. More or less, it's like a $50 US plus minus everywhere. And depending on the deal, you can get it for that price between $1,600 and $1,500. So why did I buy Pioneer and why I did not buy Denon? Denon Prime, which is a super sexy machine, And I say super sexy because it's got all the features you can dream of. It's got a 4-channel mixer. It's got a beautiful 10-inch touchscreen. And I saw that system before I bought this one. It's a lovely touchscreen. The software is also, now they use their own system. I think it's called Engine Prime. It's a very simple software. The things that I need at this stage of my DJ skill, they're all there. The screen has, again, the grid chart is the same one over the other. So when you mix, you can see, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can insert two USB drive. You can insert one hard disk inside that system. It's a standalone system, so you don't need to carry laptop. It's a 4-channel mixer. It's got SD card. You can record on it on USB B. You can record USB A. You can play. And imagine a 1 terabyte hard disk drive that only costs like $50 US. You insert it, so all your library is backed up. Typically, hard disk drives don't crash that much. So and it has a slot for it. So overall, that was quite a tough decision. The pricing was slightly different. The pricing was about, that machine cost about $2,300 US, $2,200, $2,300. But if you're spending $1,600, it's a matter of $700. So if you don't have it at this time, you can either go for an installment or you can like save a bit more and then buy. All those options existed for me. Most of the e-commerce websites, they give you a 12 months equal installments on your credit card at 0 interest. So it was quite a deal and it was available. In this part of the world, I bought this machine for 6,500 ringgit. That one was available for 9,000 ringgit. So again, that was the toughest part in terms of deciding. But in my case, when decision came down to Pioneer versus Denon. And I figured out when I had a chat with a couple of guys who are like helping me, coaching me, the senior DJs in the market. And one thing I really figured out is the Pioneer system currently is the industry leading system. What I mean by that is if you go to any nightclub, if you're going to be playing at a place, let's say a bar, or if you're going to be playing at a club, or even if you're going to be playing at a party where you're not carrying your system and somebody's providing the system, which is the PA system guys, the sound guys, it's a wedding or it's any event that you're playing it, everybody has Pioneer systems. So any nightclub you go to, you can see the CDJ set up there and they all have Pioneer system. So what that does is, two things happen when you buy a Pioneer system. Of course, Denon is making big marks in the industry, so all kudos to Denon. And I assume eventually over the next 1-2 years, Denon will start replacing Pioneer in certain places. And that's a battle that will go on between the two brands, which is great. From a consumer point of view, it's great that brands are competing and the product is getting better and there are options in the market. But as I talk today, what I see is that most of the nightclubs, at least in this part of the world, have Pioneer. So why would you want to have Pioneer if they have Pioneer? Two things. Number one, you're practicing on a Pioneer. So when you go to the club, the layout is pretty much similar. The buttons that you're used to, where they are, all these things really come in handy. So what they do is that once you're used to a machine and you go and play on the same machine, you feel very much at ease and you don't have to memorize because you've been practicing for so long. It's like in your muscle memory, small things. I'm saying this might not be the exact resemblance of a CDJ 2000 NX2, but it's pretty close. Like small things like these buttons, the back button, the view button, the loop buttons, the jog wheel sizes. The more elements that you're used to, the easier it is to be creative at that time, because this is not playing in your head, where is what button. But suddenly if you switch from a Denon or from a Roland into a Pioneer setup and everything is differently laid out, suddenly you have to like now be very much conscious of what exactly is where and you don't want to press. So a lot of time goes into just thinking about the buttons, then actually the time that should go into being creative or choosing your tracks or watching the crowd and getting a feedback. So since you're practicing at Pioneer and you go to a club, there's a Pioneer, it's great. Now again, DDJ, so it's great, it makes life easier. The second thing which really comes in handy is the FACT record box. So since you're gonna be playing here and you're gonna be setting up all your songs, you're gonna be analyzing your songs, you will be queuing the songs. Queuing the songs is very important and it's one of those tasks that you don't want to do again and again. So queuing is quite a boring task because you have to listen to the songs. It's like one of those operational parts of being DJing. All the hard work happens way before you actually go out to play, which is in terms of queuing, knowing the song structure, understanding, putting your comments. Like typically for me, I put comments sometimes to the extent that it's a great song, 120 BPM song, but sounds better at 124 BPM. So play at 124 BPM. I even set things like intro 32 beat. I set skip here, skip with this part. So usually the last two pads I will use for skip. So what that does is it takes away the lower part of the song and just maintains the energy, especially when I'm playing an energetic set. So these cue points are really, really handy, and they come in super handy for you to actually export your music. So now when you're on a record box, you've set all your cue points. All you have to simply do is export that into a pen drive and go to the club, gig, wherever you are, plug in your USB pen drive, and suddenly you have all the cue points. Now imagine if you are on a Denon system or on a Serato system, or Serato, Pioneer also does Serato by the way, so or on a system which is a different system, software, and I'm saying software, then you have to export. Now there are options like Record Buddy, if I'm correct, Record Buddy 2, which can actually transport these things. But again, a painful exercise for you. Don't know which folder the songs go to. Don't know if the cues are actually right or not, if it's accurate. So you still want to be very, very sure of where your cues are. So for me, I think it was the network effect of Pioneer that pushed me into Pioneer. Otherwise, Denon Prime 4 is an awesome product, like an awesome product. So that was the reason why I went to Pioneer. Number one, the industry standard is Pioneer, at least as we talk today. And number two, the software is omnipresent. So once you actually set up everything on record box, wherever you're playing is the same software. So that was the two broad reasons for me to choose a Pioneer. Again, if you have questions, just put it in the comments below. I will put links to my other videos as a part of this series. I will also put them up here. So whichever side it is, I'll put the cards and you can see the links up on the top, and you can click those to find out more. And thank you for joining, and don't forget to do all the good things. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for all the support. This is DJ Vadaskal.